This is Inside Yale Football, brought to you by Yale All Access. Well, it's an all-Connecticut night here on Inside Yale Football. Our first guest is Matt Battaglia out of Simsbury. And tell us about the path from that part of the state coming to Yale. Was Yale a top choice the whole way, or how did you actually find your way here?
Well, to be honest, I really didn't have it in the plans going into my senior year of high school. I hadn't even played football until my senior year. And after a few games, I talked to a few coaches, pretty much Dartmouth and a couple of the Patriot Leagues, and I decided to take a PG year at Salisbury School, which is in the northwestern part of Connecticut. And over that summer, going into that prep school year, I actually played in the Governor's Cup with Shane Bannon. And he pointed me in the direction of Larry Ciotti, who was the Connecticut recruiting coordinator at that time. And after a couple months of talking with Coach Ciotti, I decided it was a good fit and it was close to home. And, everything's pretty much worked out. I guess it was between Yale and Penn at that point. And obviously, location was a big decision for me, staying in state.
I won't put you on the spot, but I'm sure you've got a good Coach Ciotti impression, because most people on the team seem to develop one pretty well.
Yeah.
But he's a character.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he was a really great guy, and I just felt really comfortable with him. And I think that was one of the biggest things in my decision was, how comfortable I was with him. And he was very open and honest with me about, what to expect from Yale and the football program, and I liked that about him.
Your role on this defense, it's a very active defense. And talk about, what you're going through, when you're on the field.
Right. Well, the biggest thing that we stress is up-tempo. Defensive coordinator Coach Malloy really, stresses the importance of flying to the football, and we kind of emulate that in practice. Everybody's sprinting on and off the field in between plays for rotations, and I think that really translates over well into the game, because the game is full speed, and majority of schools don't practice at the tempo that we practice at. So it's really nice to, come to. You can never actually simulate what a game is like, but we come as close as we possibly can in practice to get to the level that we play at on Saturdays, and I think that's definitely beneficial with our up-tempo style of play on the defensive side of the ball.
You mentioned how relatively late you started playing football. You played several positions in high school, even in that short amount of time, right?
Right. I actually started out as a wide receiver. I was only about 200 pounds at the time. So, obviously a lot has changed in a couple of years. But on defense, I played middle linebacker, and since I was fairly new to the game, I really didn't have much grasp of the playbook. So my head coach, Mike Tyler, kind of just told me to go out there and run after the ball. So I was essentially blitzing on every play. A lot more complicated now, but at the time it seemed like a good fit.
Does the rotation system that Yale likes to use on defense, and you mentioned helped keeping that up tempo, does it make you think a lot more than maybe if you're on a different team also?
I don't know. I think it helps thinking less even, because you're out there, you have one job to do, you do it, and since you're playing so up tempo, the tendency is if you're tired, we have people that we can roll in and out right away. So the biggest thing that starts to go when you get fatigued is your mind. You start second guessing stuff, or not thinking quite as clearly. So if you're playing at a full speed tempo and all of a sudden you get a quick break for maybe a play or two, it's nice just because you can keep your mind just as fresh as your body in those situations.
When you look around at the whole Yale experience you've had, how does it stack up with what the expectations might have been coming in, where, as you said, it wasn't necessarily a target from day one?
Right. Well, it's obviously well exceeded expectations, I would say, both academically and athletically. I didn't have the greatest expectations for it in a lot of senses. I figured I was just going to come here and it was going to be a real nerdy environment and everything, but it's actually turned out really well, and I've got a great group of friends, and everything's a lot more down to earth than I had expected. And obviously the level of football is championship caliber with this season, especially. We have our sights set on one goal of winning that Ivy League championship, and it'd be a great thing to achieve in my final year here. 2-1
right now, 1-0 in the league. What do you think the state of the team is in getting to that goal this year?
I think we're in an outstanding position, and call me crazy, but I think that maybe losing this game last week in the fashion that we did is a good thing, just for the fact that we think, okay, now we're not invincible anymore, and we have certain things that we didn't do well on Saturday, but also it's important that we recognize what we need to do better for the upcoming weeks. It's positive it wasn't a league game. We still have the Ivy League ahead of us. We're undefeated. Dartmouth this week is just one more obstacle in our path to victory. So
Well, it's been since 1960 that it's been an undefeated,
Right.
untied team. So check that one off, and now you get back to the rest of the business of the season. So
Right.
we wish you great luck with that, and thanks for joining us.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Matt Battaglia.